So, good morning, everyone. I am Liz, and we are here today in Art at Home, sponsored by the Hoboken Public Library. And as always, I want to start with mega huge thank you to the Hoboken Library for sponsoring this program that we have been doing ever since the pandemic began. I believe that the arts are the best way for us to cope in times of crisis. And if this is not a time of crisis, I don't know what is. Now that we're starting to ease our way out of the pandemic, this is again another great avenue for us to very creatively work our way back into a more normal way of life and ease our anxiety about re-entry. We are in our final Wednesday Art at Home class for the month of June. We have been celebrating artists who are LGBTQ because June is LGBTQ Pride Month in the United States. And our final artist that we are going to celebrate and focus on this month is a very controversial but genius artist named Robert Mapplethorpe. I'm not going to dwell too much on the controversial aspects of his work. I will talk briefly about some of that. We will be looking at some of the images that might have been images that sparked some of the controversy, but for the most part, we're going to be looking at some of the more benign images of his work. I invite you to look at all of his work. I believe everything that an artist expresses is art. I don't believe in censorship in any way. And I think that everything Mapplethorpe created is art. We can have a very long discussion about that at another time, but because we're in a public venue today, I would prefer not delving into that controversy too deeply. If you want to share deeper feelings, feel free to do that within our chat. I have no problem with that, but I don't know how to put this diplomatically, but I'm going to try and steer the conversation away from things that might be, I feel might be a little offensive to the larger viewer population of this recording that we're doing today. All right, enough said on that subject. Robert Mapplethorpe was born on November 4th, 1946 in Floral Park, New York. He died at the age of 42, March 9th, 1989 in Boston, Massachusetts, from complications from HIV/AIDS. He was educated at Pratt Institute, although he quit before graduation. He was an American photographer. He is best known for his black and white photographs, particularly of his celebrity portraits and also of his male and female nudes, his self-portraits, and still life images. In a 1989 exhibition of Mapplethorpe's work entitled Robert Mapplethorpe, The Perfect Moment, a debate was sparked in the United States concerning both the use of public funds for obscene artwork and the constitutional limits of free speech in the United States. And this debate started again because of some of the imagery that was shown in this exhibition. In his early career, he lived with his girlfriend, Patti Smith. This was in the 70s. They lived at the Chelsea Hotel on 23rd Street in New York. And they were together from 1967 to 1972. And I'm sure you all know Patti Smith is a rock star and poet. That's kind of bringing her very complicated career down to its simple, most basic description. But they lived together. Patti Smith supported him by working in bookstores for several years. They created art together, and they maintained a close friendship throughout Mapplethorpe's life. Mapplethorpe had a studio at 24 Bond Street in the NoHo neighborhood in Manhattan, and he kept it for his entire life as his darkroom. So it was always his studio, even after he gained renown and became famous and quite wealthy. From the 60s until the 70s, he did his photography using a simple Polaroid camera. But then in 72, he met the art curator, Sam Wagstaff, who became his mentor, lover, patron, and lifetime companion. And Wagstaff bought him a Hasselblad camera, which changed Mapplethorpe's life. He began then taking photographs of all of his friends, acquaintances, and people including artists, composers, and famous socialites. He started drifting into the club scene, the gay club scene in Manhattan, and he became fascinated with that lifestyle and photographing the denizens and people who frequented those clubs and after-hour locales. In the 80s, he continued to focus on statuesque male and female nudes. They were very, very formal portraits where he had his models sit for long hours, and he would photograph them from different angles with professional lighting and backdrops. A year before he died, he was very, very sick at the end of his life, suffering from HIV/AIDS. And as I mentioned, he died at a very young age of 42 from complication of AIDS. But a year before he died, he founded the Robert Mapplethorpe Foundation, in which he envisioned a vehicle to support and promote his work, but also to promote his particular creative vision and to promote causes that he supports, including donating millions of dollars to AIDS research and the AIDS Foundation. All right. Let's talk a little bit more about his art, which I find extraordinarily beautiful. We're going to just spend a few more minutes talking about it, and then we're going to look at it. If you have never seen Mapplethorpe's photography, you are just going to be completely wowed today. But the thing I love most about Mapplethorpe's work is his understanding, his comprehension, his genius at manipulating light and dark in his work. And those of you who are veteran students of mine, you know that light and dark are some of the basic elements of art. When you can see and appreciate the beauty of the way light hits an object, the way shadow creates form in an object, you really are understanding one of the most basic, elemental, and important elements of how to create beautiful art. And nobody, maybe, in the history of art got it as well as Robert Mapplethorpe. And you're really going to see that when you see his photographs. Here is a quote about Mapplethorpe's mastery of light and dark. His body of work features a wide range of objects. He exhibited a great mastery on how to appreciate, quote, this is now, how to appreciate a little difference between dark gray and the next brighter gray, like a passionate listener can appreciate the difference between PPP, PPP, MF, F, FF, or FFF. In other words, the way a person articulates a sound, very subtle difference in sound. When someone is talking, you can see it visually in the subtlety in the way Mapplethorpe manipulates shadow and the different shades of gray and tonality in darks and lights in his photography. All right. This work often made reference to religious or classical imagery. If you look at, for example, a portrait he did of Patti Smith in 1975, you can see references to things like Albrecht Dürer's self-portraits from the 1500s. So he really referenced the history of art in his work. It was not just his own personal vision that he was trying to capture. He really was faithful to the art education and the forefathers and the ancestry that he had been learning from. Okay. He did look into areas of dark human consent and turn them into art. He worked without apology. He invested the homosexual with grandeur, masculinity, and enviable nobility. And without affectation, he created a presence that was wholly male without sacrificing feminine grace. He was not looking to make a political statement or an announcement of his evolving sexual persuasion. He was presenting something new, something not seen or explored as he saw, and he explored it. He sought to elevate aspects of male experience. Okay, he did. He called his own work pornographic, but he did also call it high art or fine art. Oh, we have comments in the chat already. Let me look at them briefly, and then we're going to look at images. Yes, oh, sorry, I do have a very loud fan. I'm sorry about that. And I said at the beginning, not everyone might have heard. If it is too noisy for you, just let me know and I will turn it off. And I believe everyone is muted right now except for me. If not, please mute yourselves. Yeah, we're all muted. All right. So, all right. Fan off. We are now going to look at images of Mapplethorpe's work. Better now? Can everyone hear me, I hope? Let me know. You can unmute now and let me know.
We don't want you to melt, Liz. So if you need the fan, put it on.
It's okay. I have a ceiling fan as well, but thank you, Esty. Here comes our first image. So we are going to primarily look at these black and white photographs of Mapplethorpe's flowers. As I said, he is most famous for his photographs of nudes. We're going to look at some of those as well. But today, our goal is going to be to draw either a flower, if you have one available, or photographs of one. And if not, any white object that you may have available to you in your house. It could be a shell, it could be, I don't know, white fabric that you crumple up and create a small still life on your table, white pottery, a white napkin, even paper towel, or even a plain piece of paper that you crumple up, several pieces of paper that you crumple up and create a mini still life with. Or you can start taking screenshots of these images as we look at them together. Any questions about that before we start sharing our thoughts about the art? You can either unmute All right, I'm not seeing any questions. Or you can always put questions in the chat, but I'm not seeing any questions. Look at the darks and light in this image. You can see that this is a very formal studio shot. Mapplethorpe shot it against a black background. He spotlit the image. He deliberately made the lighting incredibly dramatic so that you could really revel in the gorgeous form of this lily. So a small flower takes on the monumental quality of a giant sculpture or a mountain, for example. What do we think? What are your thoughts? No one wants to share? Do you like it?
Hi, Liz.
Hi, Robin.
That's
I like it.
Good, that was Ethan.
it.
Can you
Hi,
say
Liz.
why?
What?
Why do you like it?
I like it because it just like it's not exactly just because like it's like the heart of the picture is like sometimes you can have like no heart in a picture, but it can still look pretty good. But some just have the heart, which makes them a little bit better than the ones without a heart.
Okay, cool. And Robin, were you planning to say something?
Yeah, I like the fluidity, the movement, the fluidity and sensuality, all that.
Absolutely. He really accentuates the line of the edge, the curving edge of this lily. It does look as if it's moving, almost flowing like water.
Yes.
It
Really,
feels like
really
you can.
has-
It feels like you can see the bloom in a new way because of the placement of light.
Absolutely. He has given us a new way of looking at this.
And I don't know if it makes me think of Georgia O'Keeffe because of the, it's almost not it's an image and a shape and not intended to be limited to this is a flower.
I love how it's powerful and delicate at the same time. You have this like curvature and movement, but the focus, obviously it's a macro shot and it's just large and in charge. So I don't know. I love it.
Wonderful. And it does have that O'Keeffe quality to it. I agree. It's gone, and I think it was Lauren who said it's gone from micro to macro. He's enlarged something quite small and made it huge. Made us notice something tiny by this dramatic lighting and by this enlargement. And putting it against this flat black background, that brilliant white, it's just breathtaking. All right, let's look at some more. So let's switch from this to one of his physical human images. Remember, if you want to work from any of these images, you can take screenshots while we're looking at them, or you can scroll in Google Docs and find pictures that you would like to work from personally. And I'm going to talk
I
about.
picked this one. I can't believe you picked this. This was one of the ones I'm drawing right now, actually. I love this shot. Sorry to interrupt.
Not a problem, Lauren. Way to go. So you picked this one. Why? Let's start from there.
Oh my gosh. I mean, why not? I think is the question. The dramatic lighting, I mean, you do have shades. It's a gradient of black. It's a very slight change, but you've got it to kind of like a charcoal. You've got two bald men, one very dark, one, he looks like he was also painted white. And
probably albino.
Okay. He is like, I mean, the faces are very serious, eyes open, eyes shut. I mean, what is there not to say about this photo? Okay, I feel like that list is shorter and I don't want to take up the entire class chatting about this, but oh my goodness, so powerful. Just, and again, it's a still shot, but you see this fluidity, this power. Okay, I'm gonna give someone else a turn, but yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, great. And I chose this image for a lot of those same reasons. The contrast between dark and light, the extraordinary use of shadow, intense bright white light up against gorgeous darkness. It's just all about contrast, about form. This elegant shape of the back of this man's head and neck against the negative space of the background is breathtaking. And then the dark shadow underneath his neck here, the curve of the Adam's apple and the chin, both of their absolutely classic profiles, just really wonderful. This highlight, the beautiful highlight on this gentleman's head, the highlight on his nose here. Really wonderful. How one person mirrors the beauty of the other. And so even though Mapplethorpe said, I'm not making any kind of political statement, hello, he did. He did. This image is definitely about, first and foremost, about beauty, the beauty of the human body, the beauty of the male body, the beauty of the homosexual body, and also so much about race, the beauty of the Black body and the beauty of the white body. Powerful, Lauren said powerful, but powerful on so many different levels. And it also, you can remove the imagery from the picture as well. You can look at it just as shape, line, shadow, and form. It is a pure work of art.
I find it interesting that the black man has his eyes closed and the white man has his eye open.
Well, and it's also morphology here. I think the African American gentleman has a heavier lid to his eye, and the white man has a different shaped eyelid. So
Right.
even though this gentleman's eye may be partially closed and he's looking downwards. Yeah, I mean, Lauren mentioned that too.
Yeah.
So definitely it's attracted a few people.
Yeah. It's very powerful.
Yeah.
The white man looks like he's made of marble.
Yes.
The black
I
man,
thought the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah.
he's a human. It's interesting.
Well, they're both so perfectly beautiful. They look carved.
Yes. Yes.
They're flawless. Absolutely flawless. Okay. So let's look at a few more images. Whoops, nope, did that wrong. Back to our flowers. Which one next? This one is a little more subtle, I feel. Ooh, there's a lot going in the chat. I promise I will look in a moment. It's hard for me to read the chat while I'm talking with you guys. I feel like looking at the images is more important right now. Okay, talk about subtlety of grays. There must be a million tones of gray in this picture. Now, if I were to insist on an image for you to work on today, I cannot tell a lie. This is the one that I would pick. And here's why. Because there are so many different colors of gray, so many different tones of gray in this picture. So if you know how to do a screenshot, I would pick this one as the one that you do. Or we can take a vote when it's time to get started. I can leave this screen share up and I won't highlight me while I'm working. You can just see this picture and work from this on the screen. But that is entirely up to you. You can see me in the sidebar, but I'll be kind of tiny. We'll take a vote on that later.
I chose this as one of my things to do. I chose several others as well.
Well, you can do multiples too. Is this
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do multiples.
Yeah.
I love this one most especially for all the different grays within the petals of the tulips. If you want to learn how to draw the three-dimensional form realistically, this is the kind of thing you want to copy. And copying is the ultimate best way to learn how to draw realistically. If you want to learn how to draw realistically on a two-dimensional flat surface, you need to either copy from a real object or from a photo. Do not try and draw from memory. And I'm going to repeat that later on in today's class. But look at these magnificent things he's done with light. Look at this one very black shadow here on this stem. You can see where my cursor is, everybody, right?
Yep.
Love that. And he made these choices. These are deliberate ways in which he placed the spotlight. There's more than one spotlight on this still life. And then the very dark stems down here, and the way they really anchor the push, the thrust of these tulips out into space, the kind of explosion of these two blooms out into space. And then the very subtle transition from a darker gray to a lighter gray in the background. Everybody stop what you're doing, please, and spend a minute, a few seconds, looking at this transition here in the middle. This must be the corner of whatever he's used for this still life backdrop here. It's either the corner of a room.
Like a shadow.
Yeah, I want you to look at this line right here, where he gradually moves from the darker gray. See this transition to the lighter gray. He does not go from the darkest gray to the brighter, lighter gray in one step. Do you see the different shades here in the middle? Darkest gray, slightly lighter, slightly lighter, slightly lighter, slightly lighter, slightly lighter, very, very gradually and slowly across the spectrum until he gets to the lightest part. And then it's starting to get grayer as he goes across. You see that happening? I was hoping to hear a yes from everybody. Everybody
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
It's showing duality on so many levels.
Yes.
And I know he's always showing the dark and light. I don't know if you saw I think it was part of this series. It was the white tulip with, I think it was a branch of thorns. And it was just a black backdrop. But again, the two were very sharp in that the dark and the light. And I just love that, again, so simply, he has really shown a duality on a multitude of mediums here. So
Yes.
love it.
Yeah. There is, you can always with his photographs read into it a lot of psychological, philosophical meaning. And that's what makes it art. Was that his intent always? I'm not so sure. But do notice how we go from gray, dark gray, to lighter gray. It's always a gradual process, even when there's a bright spotlight. It is rare in a three-dimensional object to go from very dark to very light. It happens here. Why? Because this part of the tulip is in the deepest, darkest crevice inside the flower itself. And here we have a white highlight that has been lifted out of the shadow around it. All right. Okay, excuse me one moment, everyone. I'll be right back. The fan apparently creates too much noise, so if you want to take it downstairs, you may. Excuse me, everybody. This will just take a second. Oh, no, I did it.
Liz, it doesn't matter, please.
No, I'm good. I'm gonna leave this open now. I'm good. I have a ceiling fan. I'm perfectly fine. Okay.
You sweat.
So I want to look for one more of his portraits of a person. Actually, I like this one. Let's do this one. Make this a little bigger.
Wow.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So look at what light can do, even in a dark on dark situation, the kind of definition that he was able to achieve. Just beautiful, right? Look at negative space, the magic it can do in the composition of a piece. When you're working today, I want you to think in two ways. Think about the internal space of the object you're working on, but also the external space of the paper around it. And I probably will talk more about that as we go too. So he's again removed the human form from what it is and created a monumental sculptural image of the everyday mundane quality of the body. It becomes less a body and more an object of art.
I love the triangles formed by the negative space.
Yes, absolutely. Here.
Yeah, inside and then on the top.
Yep.
Contrasted
Here.
with that beautiful curve. It's
Yep. Absolutely. Just love the way he knew to make the figure fill almost the entire space, but not quite. So he's left this top form free so that we really can appreciate the sweep of the curve. He's left this tiny bit of breathing room at the top, and that really gives us the whole curvature of this figure. It allows us to see this circular motion, just this one little opening here.
But it's so easy to forget that this is not a painting, and I'm thinking about the darkroom manipulation. How much can you manipulate in the darkroom, black and white?
A lot, you can.
Yeah, but all the colors in between on one object, it's hard.
It's difficult, but
Yeah, so I think a lot was like lab ready. He probably knew how to create those angles while taking the photo.
he was primarily more of a studio photographer. So he spent more time in the studio manipulating the light within the studio environment. He wanted to get the light just right before he took the picture, so that when in the dark room, he manipulated the light less.
Exactly.
So he knew about aperture, he knew about shutter speed, he knew the science of photography, he knew the ins and outs.
Mostly lighting.
And the lighting, yes. The lighting was key for him. It's all about the light and dark in his imagery. All right. let's talk about what we're going to do today. Let me just briefly look at the chat. Okay. Okay, a lot of these are funny, so thanks. And I'm fine, everyone. You don't have to worry about my physical well-being. I lived for a long time in the top end of Australia. I know how to deal with heat and humidity. This is like nothing, quite frankly. All right. So here's what I would like us to do today. And I mentioned it briefly before. We have quite a bit of time. We have like a little bit over an hour. You will need white paper. You're going to need a great number 2 sharpened pencil. If you're feeling confident today, you can use Uniball pen or pen and ink as well. You could use black and white acrylic paint too. Graphite pencil or crayon, and I haven't talked too much about this before, but those of you who are feeling more and more confident in your drawing practice, graphite is one of my favorite drawing materials to work with. It is basically what you find on the inside of a wooden pencil. And if you get graphite pencil, you have the ability to, this is a graphite pencil here, you have the ability to have more graphite, and you're able to spread the graphite more easily with your fingers or with a towel. The graphite crayon, the same thing. They come in different widths, large and fine point, which is pretty cool. The fine point is good for details and for making very dark, hard, thin lines. The wider ones obviously are better for wider shapes and larger areas of shadow. What else? If you have one of these, and if you don't yet, you might want to purchase one. This is called the Stump or Stumpy. It's basically very tightly rolled paper, and it's great for rubbing charcoal or graphite with. You could use charcoal today if you're lucky enough to have charcoal. Number 2 pencil, still my absolute favorite thing to draw with, and for shading, it's one of the 10 best tools to use, if not the number 1 best. You probably want a big pink eraser, like this, either for erasing mistakes or for erasing out highlights, those bright white lights, if you're using a spotlight on your work or if the sun is shining brightly on the object that you're looking at. All right. Either, as I mentioned also before, I want you to draw either one of Mapplethorpe's flower photos, a single flower that you may have in your home, a real one, a photograph of a flower that you may have, a magazine or calendar image of a photograph that you have. Maybe you have a picture book of flowers that you can pick a flower picture from. But I want you to just draw 1 to 2 flowers. I don't want you to do a bouquet. So this is more in the vein of Georgia O'Keeffe, and Mapplethorpe is similar to O'Keeffe in that respect. He liked choosing 1 to 2 flowers and focusing on the beauty, the details in one object. A shell would be great. Buttons, any objects that are highly detailed so that you can see the shadows on them, or conversely, a smooth piece of pottery would be terrific because the light is going to hit it in a particular way that's going to make it challenging for you to draw. So any questions about the materials that you need? We are going to spend the rest of the class entirely on drawing, and I'm going to demonstrate. I'm going to do my own drawing. I want you, the assignment for today is to draw this one object and one only using shading only, no line. Everyone get that? Do you understand? I want you to make it look as three-dimensional as possible. And the way you do that, and I'm going to show that in a moment, is to make your shadow move slowly from either very light to very dark or vice versa. And I'm going to show you different techniques, but I want everyone to gather up your materials first, and then we will begin. I actually have a vase full of flowers here. Probably can't see them. And I am going to choose one flower. And in 2 minutes, you're going to let me know if you want to, after I do my demo, if you want me to highlight one of Mapplethorpe's pictures, or if you want to watch me work on my drawing. So go forth, gather up your stuff, and in exactly 2 minutes, I'm going to start demonstrating the best ways to do shading. And if you have questions, now's a good time to ask, and no question is invalid. All questions are good. While we're working today, as always, I'm going to ask you please to stay muted. Unfortunately, I cannot mute.
Liz, a quick question about lighting.
Uh-huh.
So should we have a lighting source to play with the lighting on the?
If you are lucky enough to have a spotlight or a very bright light that you can project onto the object that you're working on, have at it. If you have an area in the room where you're working that has sunlight streaming in, I would put the object in the brightest sunlight spot that you have. And if you can, put the object on a white piece of paper, and if possible, put a white sheet of paper behind it so that it casts shadow in back and below, behind and underneath the object.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for asking. That was an important question. I am not going to use my spotlight. I'm actually on the sunny side of my house in this room at the moment. So I'm lucky I will not need a spotlight. I'm going to move my vase of flowers into the sun, however. Oh yeah, that's cool light. All right, so I'm going to be decapitated. But you can see my full easel today. Wow, it's kind of a first. Oh, and first the vote. Would you like me, after I finish the demo, to project the Mapplethorpe photo, or would you rather watch me?
I'd rather watch you.
Yeah,
personally.
I'd rather watch you.
I'd rather,
You know, do you know the device in the, if you go down to the reaction things in your Zoom screen, you can do, if you want me to stay projected, I guess do the thumbs up. Does everybody see that little smiley face?
Where?
Oh, reactions, okay.
Some people did it manually with their finger. A lot of people have done nothing. I don't know what to do. All right, it looks like the majority want me to stay projected, so I'm going to assume you have something to look at that you're drawing from. Please, I cannot say this strongly enough. Do not draw from memory. You will fail. Even Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, they always had a model or something to look at. Okay, wait, I have a new message. All right. So now I'm going to demonstrate for you the different techniques of shading, because some of you are at different stages in the road or different way stations in the road to drawing. If you're using the number 2 pencil, I recommend laying the pencil on its side and using the side, not the tip of the pencil, to create shadow. And it's probably challenging to see. But the number 2 pencil is so brilliant to use because it's soft. And if you have a stumpy, or if you have a rag or a paper towel, or you can just use your fingertips, which is my favorite tool to use, you can rub and smooth and smear your shadow for that gradual transition from darker tone to less dark, to less dark, to light. And that's what helps you create the 3-dimensional quality in your work. It's best to start light and add dark shadow as you go. So this is probably easier for you to see now. I'm getting darker on the outer edge. The object that I'm looking at is curved. This is really important. If it's a curved object, you want your shadow to follow the curve that the object you're looking at has. You don't want the shadow to be rigid and straight up and down.
Question.
Yes.
Are you drawing or shading the flower or the outside of the perimeter?
I'm not working from my still life at the moment.
Oh, okay.
I'm just working on a demo right now.
Oh, okay, of the technique.
Right. I'm just
Okay.
demonstrating technique. I'm
Thank you.
actually now, I'm looking at a ball that I have on the shelf in my workroom. I should have mentioned that. So it's just a round, it's a round one of those little hand exercise balls.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that you can see that a circular form is starting to emerge. And did I use any lines? Absolutely not.
Oh.
No line required at all. And this ball is sitting in deep shadow on a hard surface. So one way I can show the form of the object is to show the shadow that's projected underneath. Don't forget to look at the shadow that's cast on the surface where the object is sitting. Just using simple number 2 pencil. I'm blending with my finger. And I'm taking some of that dark shadow that's underneath, and I'm noticing the shadow behind the ball on the brighter side of the ball, where it's in complete bright sunlight, the light white side of the ball. You see where my hand is? There's no shadow here except behind the ball. And I'm extending the shadow from underneath and putting it behind the perimeter of the ball on the outside. Adding a little bit more with my pencil. Always best to start light and add dark shadow as I go. So on the bright white side of the object, the background is creating the form. I drew no line whatsoever. And here at the top, the light is hitting it so strongly that you can't even see the top of the ball. I'm leaving it to my mind's eye to fill in what's missing, what I cannot see from the form. There's no shadow behind it. It's pure sunlight streaming down on the top of the ball. That's all I had to do to create a three-dimensional sphere. Any questions? There's a little bit of shadow here. Behind the ball on the darker side, very light shadow. The real key is to blend each shade of gray into the shade next to it so that the transition from one shade of gray to the next is very smooth and gradual. If it isn't, it's going to flatten the image out. All right. And here's another tip. If you're feeling a little insecure about this process. If you have something like an apple or a hard-boiled egg, or even a not hard-boiled egg, if you have a raw egg, you could put it in a dish and practice drawing that first. Something very simple and pure like that. Would be a great way to practice. And if that's all you do today, wow, I'd be happy. If it builds your confidence and skills, that's fine. All right, not seeing any questions about what I've done so far. Most of you folks are my veteran students, but not all. Oops, I forgot to stop the share on this baby. Everybody's working, looking like we're focused. Nice, yeah. Fabulous, Stephanie. All right. I want to show you the difference that you can do with the graphite media, how much darker your shadow can get. I'm going to add a little graphite to this image. Get my ball a little rounder by making it a little bit darker. All right. One last technique I'm going to show, and then I'm going to start working on my flower. And that is the technique of cross-hatching. And I'm going to show you how to do cross-hatching. I'm going to look at this same ball, but I'm going to use my Sharpie pen because it will be easier for you to see. If you are a beginning draftsman, draftswoman, I would not recommend using Sharpie if you're just starting out, however. But cross-hatching is the technique of laying down lines, multiple lines, and depending on how close they are to each other, will determine how dark or how light your shadow will be. And it's called cross-hatching because you can cross-hatch. You can lay horizontal lines across your verticals. And again, you can make them close together or far apart, and that will determine how light or dark your shadow will be. I love cross-hatching so much that once I start this, it's really hard for me to stop. Those of you who know me well can attest to that fact. All right, so this is pretty rigid, straight up and down. If you were working on a circular spheroid object, again, cross-hatching can follow the form of the object that you're looking at. But instead of using shadow, you now have to incorporate line. On the outer edges of this ball, it's quite dark, so I'm keeping my lines close together. The closer the lines are in cross hatching, as I mentioned, the darker the shadow will be.
Liz, do people use a combination of both techniques, or is it better to kind of stick with one of them?
Well, traditionally not, but have at it.
Okay.
Try it, see if you like it. And some people, when they do their shading, they're very loose, you know, and they do it more, it looks more like lines when they shade. You see? Cezanne is a good one. If you go to the Cezanne drawing show, you'll notice that when he does shading, it's very squiggly. It's not this kind of smooth, flat shadow.
Liz, did you read that in the New Yorker article on that exhibit that Cezanne never erased, that he just used line after line after line and never used the eraser? I thought that was fascinating.
He's one of the rare few. I have not read that article yet.
It's great.
You are, as always, one step ahead of me, Suzanne. Thank you for recommending, though. I look forward to getting it. Right now, I'm stuck in the article about Joe Manchin in last week's. And Heidi will probably fire me, but it's giving me, I'm not supposed to talk about this during recording, but it's giving me agita, this article. All right, so the further towards the middle of this object I get, the further apart my lines are getting because the lighter the shadow is. I have to turn my back to you folks at this point. It may be hard for you to see, but I can't control the marker working sideways on the easel. All right, so we know here on the edges, the shadow is the darkest, so I'm going to crosshatch over the top. And Suzanne's question was valid. Some crosshatch artists are quite sloppy. They do it more kind of as a coloring in technique. I'm not like that. I'm almost obsessive, compulsive in my precision. I try to lay down one line at a time, and I get really angry when the lines extend over the last line, and I always go back and correct that. But everybody's style is different. But the same scientific theory applies. You want to make the progression from dark to light be as gradual as possible, because if you don't do it in a gradual fashion, it will flatten the image out and make it look two-dimensional. So now I'm going back and I'm doing more verticals closer together because the outer rim of the object is darker. And I'm not going to complete my cross-hatching because it would take all morning. I want to get onto my flower drawing for those of you who want to see that progress. I'm doing more horizontal crosses now, cross-hatching. to make the outer rim darker. And I would go back here and add some more verticals to make that transition more gradual. But I think you get the idea. It's a process of adding more lines as you go to make the form look rounded. Still have about half an hour. And I hope you're enjoying. Shading for me is one of the most meditative processes in art production. So the light has changed in my room. It's no longer that dramatic. So I'm going to remove one of these flowers from the vase and bring it over closer. I'm not even sure. Is this a gladioli? I'm going to work on this. I'm not sure what species it is, but I like it. Everybody see it?
Liz, a quick question.
Sure.
Are you on the Arts Council of Hoboken?
As far as I know, we don't have a council. I'm on the Art Advisory Board.
Okay. I will contact you later about something related to
Sure.
that group. Thank you.
I should announce, we just put out a call for artists. We have 2 mural spaces available at the moment. I'm so excited about this. One is a mural at the Tom Oliveri Park, and the other is a mural at Church Square Park on that green building in the middle of Church Square Park. So the theme for the mural at the Tom Oliveri Park is play, and the theme for the mural on the green building in Church Square Park is to honor our frontline workers. I believe that the call for artists is available on the Hoboken City website. I know it was posted somewhere. The Arts Advisory Committee, I mean, maybe it is a council, Jane. We have a very highfalutin title.
Well, that was what I was going to ask about. I'll get the link and put it in the chat for anyone who's interested.
Oh, you were going to talk about the Mural Project? Great.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Is the link available on the city website?
I don't know, but I got the announcement and and a link to the application. So I read the application last night.
Awesome. It's not a difficult application at all. Any of us could apply, except me.
Well, except I don't want to distract everyone.
Okay.
So the yeah.
I'll put it in the chat and maybe at the end we can discuss it.
Okay, that would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, please mute everyone. So I have begun working on my flower. Starting first in shadow and in number 2 pencil. Could you bring me a towel? A towel? Could you please bring me a towel? You know, a hand towel. Like the kind we used to dry the dishes.
Liz? That was the one that next on the wall.
Yeah, that's what I used to dry my hands with. It's one. So you might be interested in my drawing because it's white on white. I am emphasizing the shadows underneath and behind the flower to define the shape of the flower itself. It's quite, because of the way the light is hitting it, it's quite dark underneath where it's laying on the white paper that I put it on. Remember I said, try drawing the image without using line, only shadow. Shadow can have its own shape. You can think of shadow as an actual thing. I think Mapplethorpe did. He gave it kind of a life of its own. So the background shadows are what are defining the actual shape of the white flower. I'm pressing pretty hard with my pencil, and it's getting me some really gorgeous dark shadows, which I'm not making up. I'm actually seeing these underneath the petals of the flower. So if you remember what I said when we were looking at the photograph of the tulip that I said would be a great image for you to copy today, the only really dark shadow that you saw with bright white next to it was the internal shadow inside and underneath the petals of the tulip. And that's true with this image of this gladiola that I'm working on. It's very bright white on top of these very dark shadows underneath. And it will not flatten the image because it's the way it really looks. It's going to help to define the shape of the petals. Now the edges of the shadow as it diffuses into the paper though, they start to get blurry and get lighter. As they spread out over the paper. That's what light does. That's the scientific reality of light. Gosh, I love doing this. I hope you all do too. Once it cools off, when you go for a walk, I think you're really going to start appreciating shadow more. Those of you who are photographers, I know you know this already, but maybe you'll see it even more. In your daily travels.
Liz, I love the idea of drawing the shadow instead of the actual picture. We kind of delved into this with the eyes a little bit, but this is like, I don't know why, but it's easier for me to, I'm doing the tulips. I don't know if this is coming together at all.
You have to when you're working with a white object. You have to. And
Now,
it is wonderfully satisfying.
my question for you, especially in Mapplethorpe's piece, the two tulips, when you're doing the shadows on the light background, are you able to just put that fine line in, or do you want the shading with one of these?
I don't understand what you mean. You're showing me something. Wait up. Okay, show me.
Sorry to interrupt. So when you're drawing in here, because the background is lighter, mine is much too open, I feel. But if we're looking, why can't I do this? If we're looking here at the center, so like this will be light, this is darker. Are we just doing a very fine line, or What do you suggest in regards to shading?
You can, but as you work, you may find that that gets obliterated. And that's
Okay.
fine, because your eye, this is part of the right left brain visual cortex thing that happens.
Mhm.
Your eye will automatically tell your brain to fill in what you can't see.
Okay.
So if you want to put a very fine outline there to help you just keep track of where you are in the drawing,
Mhm.
but I think you're going to end up blending that away into the background as you
Okay. Okay.
keep it very light.
you.
Yeah. Good question. So now I'm trying to work internally. The nice thing, gladioli are kind of like they're little, almost like little cathedrals unto themselves. I don't know how to put it. Little, I don't know, pulpits or something. So we have about 10 more minutes. So sharing. Starting to emerge, my flower. I don't know who was speaking earlier about the movement. I think it was Robin, the movement in the shadow. In Mapplethorpe's photographs. And that's all I can think about looking at the flower I'm drawing now. It's the incredible movement in the ripples of the edges of the petals in this flower. It's been so fun noticing that. So thank you to whomever mentioned movement. Movement's another important element in art. Visual movement. Element or principle of art. Okay, she needs more work, but I'm going to stop for now. I hope you can see how shadow can start to form an object. I used very little line in creating this flower. Very little, if any. Oh my gosh, and we have been working hard. We only have 10 minutes for sharing today. So I'm going to have to interrupt, guys. I want to just briefly talk about our next artist. When next we meet, it will be July. I forget what the theme of July is. Wait, let me check this out. Oh, French. Bien sûr. I have decided, because we celebrate Bastille Day during the month of July, and also American Independence Day, that we should look at and celebrate French-speaking and French-American artists. So our first artist for July, on July 7th, will be one of my all-time favorite, if not my favorite artist. She may very well be my favorite artist of all time. I've said that frequently, but this one I truly love is Louise Bourgeois. Those of you who've worked with me in the past have heard that name before. We did look at her work in at least one past lesson. And you will have the option to either do a 3-dimensional or 2-dimensional project last week. And I'm inviting you to look for something from your childhood, something that brings up thoughts of memories, nostalgic feelings, anything that you can find that helps you think about your childhood. Hopefully happy memories. Please. All right. So who'd like to share today? Woohoo! First hand up I see is Lauren. So let's replace the spotlight. Lauren, what have you got to show today?
Hey guys. Okay. So I was looking at the tulips and came up with this.
Yeah, go dark. You need to go a little darker.
On the shadow?
Yeah, in the background. And you can't really, can you see where my cursor is on your drawing? The inner space.
Oh, I can.
Go a little darker here.
Okay. Like this area?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You're working beautifully though. That's a great beginning.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You might want to graduate to a larger piece of paper too, just saying. You're ready
Yeah.
to go big.
I started on sketch paper and I've got some 16 by 24, I think, paper coming, which I'm really excited about.
Good job, Lauren.
Thank you, as always.
You're welcome. Okay, who's next? Stephanie.
I can't reach.
Wow,
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Yeah, terrific. You're really getting the fact that you have to do the gradations very slowly. Well done.
Thank
Well
you.
done. I really like the stems. You did great on the
Oh, that
stems.
was hard.
Yeah, the
stems were
twisted
real-
part. Yep, that's a challenge.
Yep, yep.
Good
It
job.
was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Real proud of that one.
Was that
Thank
pencil?
you.
Yeah,
It was
thought I heard
graph-
Ethan wants to share.
little
that.
graphite, a little
Okay.
pencil, a lot of rubbing.
Ah.
Oh, you have a Stumpy. Good for you.
Yeah, I have charcoal. Yeah, it was fun.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right, so Ethan,
Oh, a lot of erasing.
you love erasers.
Oh, the pink one.
Okay, Ethan, this is yours. Woohoo! Very
Wow.
cool.
Beautiful.
It's a marshmallow.
Giant marshmallow.
I love it.
Excellent job.
Here's
It looks
mom's.
really 3D.
Here's my mom's.
This is what mom did.
Really good. Mom,
Fun.
Mom, even a little darker underneath. The shadow
Oh,
underneath on the table
That's Sage and Son, just saying.
at the edge. I would go even a little darker.
okay. Thank you.
Beautiful. You both made them look so three-dimensional.
We tried our best.
You did great.
Great.
Yeah, Ethan did like
cool.
6 tries and he finally got it a little bit.
Well, 4 of them were actually 2D. So what
Okay,
more could
like
you
this.
add? No, you did. No.
But he didn't give up.
That's
That's
good.
what counts. And Ethan, every artist erases, rips up, and starts again. Every artist, including, have you ever heard of Michelangelo? Yes.
Mhm.
Leonardo da Vinci, all those big guys, they ripped up and started fresh all over again. All the
Where
time.
is my piece of paper to rip up?
Here.
You don't have to rip up, but that's
Wait,
what
but this
artists
is
do.
yours. No,
No,
wait, this
this
is
is-
mine. Aha.
Right. Who wants to
Yeah.
share next?
That's great. Oh, here, I just did the,
Robin, okay.
and
Thank you, Ethan. Robin's next. All right, yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
I like how you made it
Beautiful.
fill up the whole page, Robin. Super.
it was really hard not to draw lines,
Mhm.
to just do the shading. It was an interesting exercise. And I did draw some lines, and then I heard you say it, so then I stopped. But anyway, it really was a great exercise.
It's an
Yeah.
exercise I had to do in art school. It's really a wonderful way to practice learning how
Loved
to do
it.
shading. Robin,
Yeah.
I have one suggestion for your drawing.
Yeah.
The shaded rectangle that you have behind the tulips, I would extend it all the way off the edge of the paper,
Yes, yes.
Right.
and then you'll be completely finished. Really well done on the tulip part. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Excellent. We have 3 minutes left.
I'll share.
Heather, okay.
It hurts.
What hurts?
I had my watch on there.
Wow. Oh,
Oh, beautiful.
Wow, look at that.
Oh, I love
That's
it.
really
charcoal,
lovely.
Heather?
Somebody said watch.
Charcoal?
Yeah, charcoal, yes.
Yeah, this is great.
Ah,
I hate getting my
Really
hands.
beautiful, Heather.
Thank you.
yeah, lovely.
I have no comment.
That's
I do, but
Yeah, well, stop with that negative self-chat. Esty, were you looking to share?
I was looking to share. Margot.
Yeah.
Oh, Margot.
Oh, okay.
All right,
Later.
Esty, you go
Later.
first, then Margot.
Okay, I did the 2 flowers. One, this kind of version.
Mm.
Woo!
Oh, beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Now, I forgot to
Love
mention, Mapplethorpe did go color. He started using color at the end of his life, so I do like this
Okay.
color one. And a suggestion
And-
about
and-
the black and white one,
Yes?
You need some white highlights. If you can erase
Yeah, I
some
can.
white, yeah. Beautifully formed, both of them.
Is
Yeah,
that,
Well done.
this one also I tried, you know. totally.
Oh, nice.
Nice, beautiful.
Both great. I would go a little darker on the edges of those. It'll really make the form rounder.
is it charcoal, Esty?
Yeah, it's charcoal and graphite and pencil and my hands.
Combination, okay.
Hands.
Okay, where's Margot? Here you are. Thank you, Esty. Well done. You did a lot.
Hey, can you see this?
Oh, Margot,
Oh,
yeah, Bird of
wow.
Paradise.
Yeah, Bird of Paradise. He did.
Gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Beautiful, gorgeous.
Is this watercolor? or
Wow,
Oh, it's pencil.
pencil?
beautiful.
Mm.
I want you,
Hmm.
the form of the flower is brilliant. I want you to lightly shade the background.
Okay, no problem.
It's gorgeous.
Thanks. This was the,
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
right.
That's a Mapplethorpe, right?
yes, that's a Mapplethorpe.
Oh, we have a student in this class. I didn't even
Are
know
those-
that. Hi, Lizzie.
Hi.
I didn't even know you were here. Forgive me. I'm so sorry.
No, no problem. I had asked you some questions when you were starting out, so. just
Oh,
to-
okay.
So I had done this one, Mapplethorpe.
Let me replace the spotlight. Thank you, Margot.
You're welcome. Woo!
Wow.
Wow.
Lizzie,
Gorgeous.
this is
Wow, that's
fantastic.
beautiful.
You've done a lot of drawing, my friend.
I never did a flower. I usually just do people.
Beautiful. Wow.
Wow. That's gorgeous.
Thanks. I never did just like, I learned a lot from what you were saying with the side and
Lizzie,
the
turn it
shadows.
this way. Turn it horizontal for me. Yeah, that's the way you should display it.
Ah,
Yeah, see the way, everyone see the way she made the shadow underneath so dark? Because it is a light colored flower. That's what makes the form really pop. Well done.
Oh, it's
Lizzie.
absolutely beautiful.
Don't forget the background. You must always work on the background, everybody. All right, our time has come to an end, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Oh, and Jane, everybody look in the chat. Jane has shared the application for the mural project. The one thing I will let you know, you do need to have experience painting a mural on an outside wall. I can't stress that enough. If you've never painted a mural before, you probably will not be chosen to paint this mural. That doesn't, I don't want to discourage anyone. If you can make a case, if it is the first time you painted a mural, if you can make a case for yourself, do apply. But experience is helpful. I'll put it this way. Put it that way.
Well, it's actually stated as a requirement.
Thank you.
It is. It's part of the
Bye.
criteria. But everyone is free to apply. It is, you know, not an exclusive call for artists. We are all artists in this space. Heidi, do you have any last minute words?
No, I'm just blown away by how beautiful your artwork is, everyone here. And why don't you send it off to Sharissa or me, and we could post it in the library's creative corner on our Instagram feed with
Thank
your
you
name
for
and a little
sharing.
blurb.
Yes.
These are
How do
really
we send it to you?
I'll put my email in the chat.
Okay.
Lizzie, are you on my email list? And if not, do you want me to put you on?
I did get your email. I just couldn't find the, in your email each week, you don't have the link.
No, that comes separate.
That comes from Heidi.
I didn't get the link. So I luckily I hadn't deleted from a couple of weeks ago.
Well, if you didn't get the link, it's because you didn't register. So you need to
Oh, you
register to
register
get.
each time?
It's
Yeah,
up to you. I use that list of registrants to send out the link, because otherwise I can't go back in time and.
Oh, okay. I thought it
So,
was the
but
same
every
link
month-
every time.
But you could just save it once you have it, but every
Uh-huh.
month I send out a new one.
Oh,
So for
okay.
July, I have a new one. But if you save it, you don't need me to send it to you.
So, and Heidi, Lizzie's a new student, so she
So
didn't.
welcome, Lizzie.
Thank you.
Where,
I've
Welcome,
learned a lot
Lizzie.
already.
where are you? Lizzie?
I'm in Palisades Park.
Okay.
Oh, Heidi, you live near me. I live in Edgewater.
Oh,
I
that
mean,
was
I
Liz.
don't,
Yeah, Liz.
You live in Palisades Park?
Yeah,
I live in Edgewater, so we're neighbors.
yeah, we're close. Well,
Yeah.
Hoboken isn't too far away if you don't count traffic.
Oh, yeah, but the parking is awful.
Oh, and parking, yeah.
well, us here in Hoboken, we walk everywhere. We don't drive everywhere.
That's right.
We
Yeah,
have a
it's a great
completely different, I
walking
used to
city.
live in suburbia, so we have a different mindset. We don't even think about it, most of us. So there's my email. Send me if you want, for us to display your work.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for reminding everyone, Heidi.
Sure. So we'll see you next week. What is it? Did you tell everyone what it is?
Yeah, July is about French speaking and French American artists. And our first artist is the French American artist, Louise Bourgeois.
Bourgeois.
you.
Okay.
Artists will have a choice of doing 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional project next week.
Okay. And I put out the supplies, right?
Right. And I will also, in the email that I send everyone, I will list the supplies that you need. They're simple supplies that you can find around your home. Or if you live near the Hoboken Library, you will be able to get your grab and go bag. Oh, that is one thing I want to say. Certain items you will not get every week in the grab and go bag. If you have received paint, for example, or brushes, you're not going to get new paint and brushes every month. So use things judiciously. All right.
Thank you, Liz.
And glue. We can't afford to give you a brand new jar of glue every month. I hope everybody understands that.
We
Or a
have
brand new